Hello and welcome to the program. Housing remains a major problem for police officers serving in Papua New Guinea's Royal Constabulary. Many of the houses and police barracks were built in the mid-60s. Most of them have now been condemned, but families still continue to live in them. Police officers and their families have been having difficulty convincing the police department and the national government to fund the upgrade of police barracks and the rehabilitation of police houses. In this Tok Piksa story, we bring to you the housing problems faced by police officers serving in the Madang and Kainantu police force. It only gives a tiny snapshot into the lives of dedicated police men and women who work to uphold the laws of the country. Edwin Fidelis with this report.
For more than 6 decades, police officers in Madang live in houses like this one. It was built in the mid-60s to house colonial police officers serving in the Madang police force. The houses are still used by police officers today, even after they were condemned. On the walls are evidence of steady deterioration of the houses. The termites are slowly eating away into its foundation, making it unsafe to live in them.
Mi plus sleep was all settlement. Inside, outside, inside them, palang tasol no ga double wall. Mi plus a breathe him dust na mi plus a sleep. Roof ya broke, come down, hang up, number out here, mi plus a sleep one thing.
On the outside, the sewage pipe is leaking. They built their own toilet a few meters away from the house. When it rains, the entire backyard floods, washing up the contents of the sewage.
Time to rain to water, until a couple look at couple and brushed. Water will come down. Washing old mattress, pillow, blumpla. People try no, so only way people was making, people buy me or something. Own money, blum. People buy me, even kitchen, blumpla, and power up. Inside sink and water leak, come underneath the floor. Okay, something and power up.
But to make their lives seem normal, they pay for building materials themselves with their own money to repair their own houses.
Pamito was mostly big part of that contributed loud. People are making, people own material, people straight in house there.
Many of them have come to a realization that living in these rundown houses is normal. These pictures were taken when the police officers were not around, but their wives told me it's a struggle that they have been living with for many years.
All problem me play also go work long night, time no good, emergency or one kind of big play heavy or come singati mol man do me play go work, that's all. All no look back come inside the house na look how me play family se stop. How me play stop me play sleep was a big dog na kira walk about lo. All man looking me play outside lo public all thing was a me play sleep good na kira dress up na calm to all. Inside backside lo me play house and bagar up.
There used to be regular barracks checks to make sure that all houses are in good shape, but that eventually stopped in recent years as funding became a problem. But many of them chose not to talk about their daily struggles because they know their previous calls to those in authority haven't been answered yet.
Me man blow me plenty time by sleep. Rain put down about talkie. Me on a policeman or Mr. Talking me, you know policeman, you security. You policeman by sleep la good pla house na by go walk.
The Madang Provincial Police Commander Chief Superintendent Sylvester Kalaut didn't hold back his words, expressing concerns for his men and women.
Truly, Madang has a big problem. We have most of the houses totally run down. I have inspected the barracks and I've seen that the houses are truly run down. And in Madang province, we only have 64 police houses in Madang in town. And it's not sufficient enough to cater for the bulk of our manpower. So many of our men are living in settlements and some are living with relatives and they come to work.
No proper housing has affected the morale of officers serving the police force in Madang, and it is the main reason why police numbers have to be reduced. The total police strength of Madang is only 231 personnel. Madang is becoming known as a province with a high number of resource development projects. And to a large extent, it needs police manpower to maintain law and order. but it's a stage that the Medang police force haven't quite reached yet. There are also growing concerns over the increasing crime rate and the inability of police to respond to crime.
Well, to maintain law and order in a province like Medang, with limited manpower, it's very, very difficult, and it's a very challenging one. As you can see, Medang, the population has grown with a lot of business activities, and we have people coming into Medang, and much of the population in Medang, they're floating population, and when you compare that with the police manpower, it's just not enough. And police will be stretched out to do policing, to at least provide a satisfactory police service to the community.
He says those plans haven't been working out, and it might take months, perhaps many years, before changes will be felt.
Ano kada hablo mi plus staff anyway mi plus come in now this la one me all council em bin come to this la condemn barracks na hardlo you plus by staff, but at least mi plus marry mi plus fight law rights, because shelter em one play important something law mi plus mama pigin in it.
Like other wives of the police, they are angry with the government and want answers from the police department. But they said they have been having difficulty convincing the police department that their problem is urgent and needs immediate attentions. The wives said their husbands have been suffering from low morale in work because of their living conditions, but even if they did, they never showed it. While families of police officers are frustrated about their living conditions, national politicians have remained silent on the issue. There hasn't been any immediate response from leaders and those in authority in recent years. The only political figure who was outspoken was the opposition spokesperson and Kundiawa Gembog MP Tobias Kulang. His comments were simple. He said the problems faced by the police needs immediate attention if Papua New Guinea is serious about addressing its law and order problems.
Where are the priorities of the government when it says he wants to make law and order an important issue, want to fight corruption? You need your police force to do that. You know, nowadays we see police behaving in a certain way, and we are very quick to pass judgment that they are rogue, they are rough, they are unfriendly. But if you take a back stage and look at the condition, probably they're expressing a certain level of frustration because the manner in which the nation is attending to the needs, and accommodation is a primary basic needs. And how do you expect somebody to be thinking properly and come and discharge his responsibility at the end of the day?
The housing difficulties faced by the Medang police only give a tiny snapshot of similar problems faced by police officers all over the country. In Kainantu town, the police have scaled down their operations following a water crisis in the small township. In this interview, the Kainantu police station commander confirms the extent of the problem faced by his men and women serving in the Kainantu police force.
House em ino planti mi pla accommodate lo single quotas. Facility below police, but facility below formerly paramedical college. But mi pla been arranged one time all na mi pla use him at the moment. That facility has no water na M2 am affected now. So suppose this law kisim back mi pla ma no gat below.
Almost all the families of police officers in Kainantu were frustrated, but they said there's nothing they can do when there's a communication breakdown between themselves and those in authority.
Mibla walkman Mary Blow, government Mibla stala Kainantu town. But Mibla no nablo continue lo Mibla by stawant and this la problem yana. Mibla need him. Government now or Emi or Papa Blumla come down and I must take him on a serious problem Blumla and solve Mibla so that Mibla can continue on providing this service. Like Mibla please. Mibla must provide in this police services.
While police officers haven't spoken out much about their problems, those in authority have remained ignorant of the fact that police personnel are struggling to cope with their living conditions. Officers in higher ranks like the Medang Provincial Police Commander and the Kainantu Police Station Commander are making a strong representation of their men and women and have been calling for changes that will contribute immensely towards the well-being of those who work to uphold the laws of this country.
You're back to Tok Piksa. The health sector in PNG has a long way to go in terms of providing efficient services. It's been established that funding has never been the issue. It's how the funds have been managed that's the problem. Here's a look at how the government is forging ahead to improve the sector. Papua New Guinea's health sector is one that is far from perfect. The Department of Health has been accused of corruption, including taking bribes from pharmaceutical companies and the misappropriation of government funds. PNG's former Health Minister Saza Zibe also stated that the Health Department's Drug Supply Division is riddled with corruption and is ineffective. The government blamed a lack of transparency within the tender process as a reason why the corruption went unnoticed for such a long period. According to an independent study funded by OZAID in 2005, PNG has a sound national health policy, but it's the implementation that falls short of the mark. The working conditions for doctors and nurses have left little to be desired. The Doctors and Nurses Associations have made this known through various strikes. The current government attributes the dysfunction to a lack of good governance by hospital boards. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill made this known during his hospital visits to Lays Enga Hospital and the Goroka Provincial Hospital. Last month, the Prime Minister and his entourage were given a grand welcome to the Goroka General Hospital. Staff and patients lined the entrance to get a glimpse of Mr. O'Neill. This was a very different scene to what transpired in May this year, when staff shut hospital gates in protest over deteriorating of patient care services. He was given an update on the status of the hospital. He was told there were space issues.
One of the biggest issues within the hospital is the space with the increase in population and the increase in the number of specialties that we create in the hospital. It's unable to create that.
There are inadequate number of nurses and doctors available. According to hospital statistics, the ratio is 20,000 patients to one nurse and 80,000 to one doctor. That's from a hospital that looks after a population of 600,000.
We are not managing our money well. That is why we are always running out of things. We must take charge of our destiny. We must take charge of our lives by managing all this as something good. Like 2011, time we come up treasurer time, people are putting money directly come low, Goroka housing. 2012, people are formulating budget time, people are government time, people are putting money direct. I think 10 million. This year, people are putting another 10 million. In 3 years, close to 30 million kina, you know. You have to ask, what have you done? What have you done?
Goroka MP Bira Kimisopa got emotional speaking about the hardships faced by doctors and nurses. His father was a doctor.
Prime Minister, you know what as well sick. All get a workman lo Papua New Guinea or work health department all sawi man meri all work. All get hard lo got more people. No I want something wrong lo. The management also got more got house sick lo Papua New Guinea. Na Goroka house sick and one blah blah.
Eastern Highlands Governor Julie Soso said 6 million has been put aside for health in her provincial health budget this year, with 1 million already put aside for work on the maternity ward of the provincial hospital. She also announced a further funding of 600,000 kina for work on a cervical cancer wing.
Health alone inside the Eastern Highlands is close to 6 million kina. 6 million kina lo Eastern Highlands budget lo yumi. Okay, 1 million kina. And me pla puti mi go long maternity ward. Now me hamamas doctor blo mi pla blo pigin ni. You can see me pla round na so we mi plan na totok lo needs blo maternity ward. Now sisters lo labor ward you pla totok 1 million staff pinis lo gani na. And Prime Minister I look sawe pinis so. Sambla mo ikamna by me putim gutol mama blo mi pla. All karem good pigin ni lo 1 pla half tasol lo 1 pla win tasol na necessary to lo 1 pla win tasol na plus to sleep to lo 1 pla win tasol by your right.
The Prime Minister announced a funding of up to 50 million kina to be invested in the health sector in Goroka. This includes 5 million kina for the Institute of Medical Research and 15 million kina to build a new nursing college.
Catchment area blo yumi lo Goroka and Bigla. Yumi semi mo line lo Highlands, particularly lo Simbu Province. Or line blo yumi lo Morobe, or Narbla line blo yumi population blo yumi at lo Eastern Highlands. Emi Bigla catchment area blo Goroka Hospital is semi. That is why we need to lift the standard of the facilities here. That is why we need to increase the infrastructure and equipment here. So me like talk also, me play by start, me play put him 10 million finish. On top of that 10 million. Next year by me put him 20 million kinla, you may renovate him house, now you may re-equip him, plant the equipment inside house. So 20 million kinla by you may start put him this.
This year, reforms into the administration of funds were made, giving more powers to provincial governments.
It will be one provincial health authority responsible for both public health or rural health services and the curative health services, which is the public hospital. Will now be under the control of the provincial health authority.
Health, because it's got to do with our lives. Huh? We have gone astray since independence.
Another improvement included the opening of accommodation for nursing staff in the nation's capital at Laloki. Minister for Health Michael Malabag was the driving force behind reviving the $20 million ADB project that was stalled for 10 years after it was completed. For 10 years, the Laloki Nursing College stood idle. Perfectly well-built accommodation and training facilities left to rot because of poor leadership by the then Health Minister. 10 years later, current Health Minister Michael Malabag gave a directive to reopen the facility without further delay. Today was the official opening. A memorandum of understanding between the National Department of Health and Port Moresby General Hospital has been entered into to manage the nursing college.
When the Prime Minister put this board together, our chairman, Sophio Constantino, made a promise to the nursing union that we will be providing them all accommodation. And this is a promise that he has kept. And I assure you, this is not the end. This is just a beginning.
Some people wanted to own this facility. They did not pay for it, but they wanted to get it on a golden plate, like it was theirs, you know. But when I came in as Minister Secretary, they moved quickly, got rid of the people over here. And now, Papua New Guineans, through the health sector, will use this facility.
The Laloki Nursing College can accommodate over 300 staff. Facilities include 5 dormitories, 16 3-bedroom houses, a in-service training room, conference hall, dining room, library, administration building, sports field, 24-hour security, backup power and water, on-site manager, shuttle bus to transport nurses to and from the hospital. 52 of Port Moresby General Hospital's senior nurses have taken up residence, allowing much-needed maintenance to take place at PMGH nursing quarters. How do you like your facility?
We enjoy this place.
It's a good incentive now for the Port Moresby General Hospital nurses to stay, and everything will be provided.
The total cost of rejuvenating facilities back to standard is 2.5 million kina. Renovations are still continuing and should be complete come September. The first in-service training will commence here tomorrow. Minister Malabag says the in-service training program will be rolled out to all public hospitals around the country. It's been said public-private partnership is the way to go. The Port Moresby General Hospital is an example of successful public-private partnership. A number of notable improvements have been made to the hospital so far.
We are committed now to fixing up at least 7 of the big hospitals in the country, directly. Port Moresby, I'll give you an example. This year we did a pilot project in Moresby. I gave 50 million kina in last year's budget, allocation law 2013 budget. 50 million kina. And I keep track every second or third week of how much money they're spending. Only spending close to also 25, 22 million kina after a year now. Now with that money you can see a big change happening. Ward by ward, only renovate him. New play equipment only by Mogada, old play equipment only rushing me go inside. With close to less than 50 million kina, we are able to change the biggest hospital in the country. That means we can do it elsewhere. That means we can do it everywhere.
That ends this edition of Tok Piksa. Thanks for your time. Good night.